So, picture this, the whole fam bam, ready for a classic road trip adventure. We're talking about the iconic minivan packed to the brim with suitcases, snacks, and enough gadgets to make a tech store jealous. The highway stretches ahead, promising hours of family bonding, endless snacks, and the occasional "are we there yet?" from the back seat. But oh boy, was the universe about to throw us a plot twist that even Hollywood would hesitate to write. We hit the road, the minivan humming with excitement. Windows down, tunes cranked up, and that open road feeling settling in. It's all sunshine and rainbows, or so it seems until I notice this persistent presence in our rearview mirror. At first, it's easy to dismiss a car on the highway, big deal, right? But as the miles roll on, so does this car, staying glued to our tail like a particularly stubborn shadow. The unease starts to settle in. I'm no detective, but even Sherlock would raise an eyebrow at this situation. I take a peek at my family, blissfully unaware of our newfound highway companion. Part of me debates whether to mention it, not wanting to be the harbinger of doom. The other part, the part that's seen too many horror flicks, is doing mental gymnastics screaming, "This ain't right." As we pull into a gas station for a pit stop, I try to keep my cool. Maybe it's just a coincidence, right? Cars on the highway tend to move in packs, like a vehicular herd, migrating to the same watering hole. But there's a guy in that car just sitting there, staring ahead with a look that screams, "I'm here for reasons that are none of your business." Now, I'm no expert in evasive driving maneuvers, but desperation breeds innovation. Back on the highway, I decide it's time for some impromptu driving school stunts. Left, right, loop-de-loop. We are pulling moves that would make a stunt driver proud. But lo and behold, our highway companion remains as committed as a marathon runner on mile 20. The pit in my stomach is doing the cha-cha, and my family is starting to catch on. I don't want to incite panic, but the tension in the minivan is reaching levels that would make a horror movie protagonist nervous. The GPS promises salvation in the form of a pit stop an hour away, and I'm eyeing it like it's the Holy Grail. We finally roll into the next town, and it's time to pull out the big guns, enter the crowded, well-lit mall. It's like finding an oasis in the desert. We dive into a sea of shoppers, and I can't shake the feeling that we're being watched. Paranoid? Maybe. But paranoia doesn't care about logic. It just does its thing. Circling the mall like a cat stalking its prey, we don't see our vehicular stalker anywhere. Maybe we lost him, maybe he got bored, or maybe he's plotting his grand entrance into our horror movie. I try to shake off the unease, but it's clinging to me like a cat with separation anxiety. Leaving the mall, we cautiously hit the road again, and I'm on high alert. Every car in the rearview mirror becomes a potential threat. Every shadowy figure on the roadside an ominous harbinger of doom. I'm living in a low-budget horror movie, and I'm not exactly the brave protagonist. We make it to our destination, a cozy cabin in the woods, but the tension hasn't dissipated. I keep glancing out the window, half expecting the car to roll up any moment. My family's concerned, asking questions I don't have answers to. How do you explain a shadow on the road without sounding like a paranoid conspiracy theorist? That night, as we gather in the cabin, I can't shake the feeling that we're being watched. Maybe it's the rustling of leaves outside, maybe it's the creaking of the cabin, or maybe it's just my overactive imagination fueled by too many horror stories. The next morning, as we pack up to leave, I half expect the car to be waiting for us. But the road is clear, the shadows less threatening in the daylight. We hit the road, and I keep glancing in the rearview mirror, searching for any sign of our phantom follower. As the miles stretch on, it becomes clear that we've left our mysterious companion behind. Maybe it was just a weird coincidence, a fellow traveler with a penchant for keeping a steady pace. Or maybe it was something more sinister, something that decided to let us go for reasons I'll never understand. The road trip continues, but the memory of that relentless pursuit lingers. It's the kind of story we retell around campfires or during family gatherings, a tale that blurs the line between reality and the twisted narratives of horror movies. So there I am, cruising down the highway in the middle of nowhere, just me and the open road. You know, the kind of road trip where you're chasing sunsets and singing along to questionable playlists. But little did I know, the road had some eerie plans in store for me. It all started innocently enough. The sun was beginning its descent, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. I'm driving, windows down, wind in my hair, and the tunes cranked up. Life was good until I noticed something out of the corner of my eye. A little girl standing on the side of the road. Now, I'm no expert in paranormal activity, but kids on the side of a desolate highway are not part of the natural order. I do a double take, thinking it's a trick of the fading light or maybe a mirage brought on by too many miles on the road. But there she is, this little girl in a white dress just standing there, staring at me like she's waiting for a ride to the afterlife. I'm not one to easily freak out, so I chalk it up to fatigue playing tricks on my mind. I keep driving, telling myself it's just a weird roadside illusion, a glitch in the matrix. But as the miles roll on, so does my unease, because every time I glance in the rearview mirror, there she is, still standing on the side of the road like a haunting reprise in a spooky movie. I'm no stranger to road trip hallucinations. Your mind can play all sorts of tricks on you when you're in that zen-like state of highway hypnosis. But this little girl, she was persistent. Like my own personal hitchhiking ghost with a penchant for ominous staring. As darkness starts to settle in, I pull over at a gas station, half expecting the little ghostly hitch vicar to pop up behind me at the snack aisle. But the gas station is just a gas station, no paranormal activity in sight. I grab some snacks, fill up the tank, and try to shake off the feeling that I'm in the prologue of a horror flick. Back on the road, I convince myself it's over. The little girl was a one-time roadside specter, a blip in the narrative of my road trip saga. But oh, was I wrong? As I drive through the night, she keeps appearing like a silent passenger that only I can see. Sometimes she's just standing there. Other times she's skipping along the roadside like some twisted playdate with the supernatural. Now, I'm no scaredy cat, but when you're sharing the road with an apparition that refuses to go away, it messes with your road trip scent. I check my mirrors, hoping she's finally decided to catch a ride with someone else in the spirit world. But no, there she is, this phantom kid with a knack for ruining my peaceful drive. At this point, I'm considering the possibility that I've inadvertently adopted a ghost. Do ghosts even have adoption papers? Maybe I should check Craigslist for a spectral child looking for a cross-country adventure. But as I ponder my supernatural co-pilot, she does something that sends a chill down my spine. She disappears. One moment she's there, playing her eerie game of roadside tag, and the next, poof, gone. Now, I'm not a ghost expert, but I'm pretty sure they're not known for their disappearing acts. I hit the brakes, heart pounding, and scan the roadside like I'm auditioning for a paranormal investigator role. But there's nothing. No little girl, no ghostly giggles, just the hum of the engine and the distant howl of the wind. It's like she was never there. Part of me feels relief, like I've shaken off an otherworldly hitchhiker. The other part, the part that's now convinced my car is haunted, is on high alert. As I continue the drive, the road stretches ahead, seemingly endless in its nocturnal solitude. The radio plays static, a soundtrack that somehow feels fitting for this eerie night. I half expect Rod Serling to pop up and narrate my very own episode of The Twilight Zone. As dawn breaks, I find myself nearing the end of this surreal road trip. The sun rises, casting away the shadows of the night, and the feeling of unease begins to dissipate. The little girl, or whatever manifestation of my imagination she was, is nowhere to be seen. I roll into my final destination, road-weary and a little spooked, ready to leave the phantom hitchhiker and her ghostly games behind. Was it a trick of the tired mind, a bizarre roadside illusion, or did I unknowingly share the highway with something not quite of this world? I may never know. And so the road trip ends, not with the triumphant soundtrack of victory, but with the lingering question of the unexplained. The little girl, the disappearing act, it's all a part of the road trip lore now, a story to be told around campfires or shared with fellow wanderers. Alright, buckle up for this wild road trip misadventure. So there we were, me and my best bud, cruising down some forest road that Google Maps swore was a shortcut. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. The sun decided to do its usual disappearing act, leaving us navigating through shadows and trees that seemed to close in on us with every mile. Now, I'm no car expert, But when the engine started coughing and wheezing like it just ran a marathon, I had a bad feeling. Sure enough, the car gave up the ghost, right there in the middle of nowhere. No houses, no streetlights, just us, the forest, and a car that decided to take an early retirement. We popped the hood, stared at the engine like it held the secrets of the universe, and concluded that we were officially stranded. Now, breaking down in daylight is one thing. Breaking down when the moon is the only thing lighting your sorry situation is a whole different level of, you've got to be kidding me. We whipped out our phones, hoping for a miraculous signal that would summon a tow truck from the heavens. Spoiler again, no signal. With a collective sigh, we grabbed our backpacks and decided to hike it. It wasn't like we had a 5-star hotel waiting for us, but anything beat being stranded in the forest at night. The road stretched on like it had a grudge against us, and every step felt like we were getting deeper into some horror movie plot. As we trudged along, the forest started doing that thing forests do at night, whispering. Now, I don't mean it was literally whispering, but the rustling leaves and the creaking branches decided to put on a symphony of eerie sounds. My overactive imagination went into overdrive, and every shadow looked like it had plans to jump scare us. Then, out of nowhere, we heard this distant whisper. It wasn't like a breeze or an animal. It was distinct, like someone was having a secretive conversation just out of earshot. We froze, exchanged that wide-eyed look that said, "Did you hear that too?" Spoiler alert, my best bud heard it. We decided to play detective, following the whispers like a pair of ghost hunters armed with flashlights and a questionable amount of bravery. The forest, however, had other ideas. It's like the whispers were playing hide and seek, leading us deeper into the woods, away from the comforting glow of the moonlit road. As we ventured further, the whispers became more pronounced. Words started forming, but they were just out of reach, like a radio station struggling to come in clear. My skepticism was doing a shaky dance with my fear, and let me tell you, it's not a pretty sight. Then, just as we were about to turn back and embrace the cold comfort of the broken-down car, the whispers stopped. The forest fell silent, like it was holding its breath. We stood there, surrounded by trees that suddenly seemed like towering sentinels keeping their secrets. That's when we noticed it, flickering light in the distance. Hope surged in our chests like we stumbled upon the Holy Grail. We followed the light like moss to a flame, and lo and behold, it was a cabin. A random, seemingly deserted cabin in the middle of this forest that Google Maps conveniently left out. It was like a horror movie cliché come to life, but at that moment, it was a godsend. We cautiously approached, knocked on the door like lost souls seeking refuge. No answer. We debated breaking in, but the horror movie logic kicked in, and we decided to check if the door was miraculously open first. Miracles do happen. The door creaked open, revealing a cabin straight out of a time warp. Dusty furniture, cobwebs like they were going for a Halloween theme, and that unmistakable smell of neglect. It was a weird mix of relief and what in the world have we stumbled into? We decided this was better than becoming forest snacks, so we set up camp in the cabin. The night passed in uneasy quiet, broken only by the occasional thud that made us question our life choices. Spoiler alert, it was probably just the creaky old cabin settling in for the night. With the first light of dawn, we gathered our backpacks and left that creepy cabin behind. The whispers were gone, replaced by the sounds of the waking forest. As we stumbled back to the road, we found a signal on our phones and called for a tow truck. The forest road, once a nightmare, now felt like a strange dream we were waking up from. The broken-down car was towed away, and we vowed to stick to well-lit, heavily populated roads for the rest of our lives. Thanks for listening in. If you like what you hear, then please like and subscribe and support this new channel. Until next time.